Hello, Easton, and welcome back to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV. Some of you who watch regularly, you'll note that there's a new table. It's not round, but very impressive to those who run the place. Well done. And seriously, I am sitting with my friend Nancy Andrew. Welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thank you for having me.
Some of you may know that Nancy is the executive director of Habitat for Humanity Chop Tank, and a number of things we're going to talk about, and we're also going to get to the stay-at-home gala, which I think we'll
a little silliness at the end.
Yes, but it's really important. But it caught my attention. Well done.
We'll see you in your PJs. Let's just leave it there.
There you go. Everybody wants to see me in my PJs. I'll tell you. Never mind. Anyway, back to reality. Tell us what's going on at Habitat.
We're busy. You know, that's really the bottom line. We're busy, and we're busy because there's a need in our community. Yep. So, as you know, Habitat Chop Tank, we work in Talbot and Dorchester counties. Yep. So we have construction projects and rehab and new construction projects going on between 3 communities. We're hoping to get a project going in St. Michael's again and have 4 projects underway, 4 communities underway. Our Restore is busy, so there's always
talk about that in a
something
minute
to sell and donate there. We've also expanded our housing mission, and we're looking at other ways to serve the neighborhoods where we operate. So, you know, over the years, because we're in the business of housing, we get a lot of calls from people who own their own home, used to be able to maintain it. Mm-hmm. Many times seniors aging in place, people who aren't able to maintain that asset anymore. So we're working on some weatherization projects for owner-occupied homes in our community. So there's a lot going on.
I made the assumption that everybody knows what Habitat is, but let us, for those who may not know, define the mission. And then, because I want to talk about a couple of things that you said as well.
Yeah, thank you. So that is good, because we make that assumption and to our fault sometimes. So too. Number one, we don't give away houses.
Right.
So our core mission remains to empower people through home ownership. And while the home is the most visible part of what we do, and the home is a really important part of what we do, but the bigger part of our mission is how we partner with our buyers to help them build stability, security, and self-reliance. Home ownership is a means to that, but as important is what our home buyers learn in the process about setting a goal and achieving it, and about how to manage their finances.
That's what's always been impressive to me. I mean, aside from and I will tell you, I have to admit something. My father could build anything. And I always say at clergy,
Habitat clergy
days, you don't really need me, because my sister is the son my father always wanted. But,
hey, on a job site, we always need somebody to hold something, sweep something, or measure something.
Well, that's next time maybe. And so you said you have 3 projects going?
With 3 communities, we have 6 homes underway between Easton, Cambridge, and Hurlock.
Where in Easton are we?
So we're really focused on the Port Street area right now. So we are getting close to finishing our Women Build house at 59 Pleasant Alley, which is between Glenwood and Port. So that was a house that has been built. It's the second such project that we've done in our history, with women providing the labor for the house. And in this case, the women also raised the $96,000 to fund the construction costs for the house. So we will be selling that home this month. And one of the things that's unique about buying a home with a Habitat is we ask our buyers to wait 2 days after settlement to get the keys to that house, because we invite the community to come out, bless the house, and really welcome that new family or individual home to the house that they helped build.
Well, that's just wonderful. I watch, because I go up and down Port Street every day, and I watch those 3 that were
in the triplex.
Wonderful, and the work is so important and so good, and it's so valuable. Are all your materials donated?
No, and thank you for asking, because I think when you work in the nonprofit world, people just assume, oh, you're ABC nonprofit, everything's donated. Great question, because only about 5 to 10% of every home is donated. So if a house costs us $100,000 to build, that means only 5 to 10% was donated. We tend to work for areas that we sub out, electrical, plumbing, etc. We work with really small contractors, and they really try hard to work with us, but these are small companies, you know, a couple guys, and many try to control their costs to us, but they don't have the luxury of being able to pay their laborers to come out for a week and work with us. And so we certainly have some subs and vendors that offer us discounts where we can, but we're really investing. When we build a home, we're investing back in the community and in buying those materials.
That's important for everybody to understand.
It is.
I know that, you know that, but I don't know how often that's understood.
It isn't.
Yeah,
and when people drive by a Habitat house, we start every house as an act of faith. The funds will come. We don't start a house because the money's in place and we're ready to go. We believe as a housing ministry that our volunteers, the money will be provided. And so far, 24 years and 71 homes, that has worked out. So we will keep saying our prayers.
And how long have you been the executive director?
I joined Habitat almost 8 years ago under the direction of Susan Devlin. And when Susan retired, I had the good fortune to be able to become executive director. I had started at Habitat as a volunteer, not a construction volunteer either, an office volunteer.
I feel your pain.
Right. I'm really good with a broom on the job site. But yeah, so I've had the privilege of being executive director for about 5 years.
Excellent, excellent. Talk a little bit about how you can qualify. As we just heard.
Another sort of unknown process to the community. So it's a pretty serious vetting process when we start to talk to an applicant about possibly purchasing a home with us. I think there's two things to remember about our application process. One, we are here to serve people and partner with people to help them buy a home who couldn't do so otherwise. If someone can go out and get a conventional mortgage, they should do so because they will have more options on the open market about where they purchase a home. But if they can't, we provide a pretty extraordinary opportunity to purchase a very good quality, durable home with an affordable mortgage.
The quality is wonderful.
Thank you. Not everybody sees that either.
No, it is not what we say. It's not a schlock house.
Right, no.
You know,
I don't think that's an Eastern Shore term.
Gee, yeah, that's right. But anyway.
So the first step in the process is just to make sure that an applicant meets our income qualifications. So a family of 4 or a household of 4, and we certainly will sell to a larger house, but just to think about general numbers, up to a household of 4 needs to have a household income of about $27,000 to $49,000 a year. Not all of our applicants are single-parent households. Many are, but not all. Some are single individuals. But you know, if you're trying to raise a household on $32,000 a year, you might have a nice job. Yeah. It's hard to pay your rent, pay your utilities.
Absolutely.
Keep that car on the road, and ever put aside any savings.
Yeah.
So the first step is to make sure someone's in that income range so we know they need us, but they're also going to be able to pay that mortgage. And that's really important to us, that they can pay the mortgage and assume responsibility for the home. So if someone meets our income guidelines, then a process begins. They come by and meet us for an interview, meet with volunteers on our home buyer selection committee. We talk about their budget, their household expenses. We have to run all these same ratios that any lender runs. So their debt to income, you know, more isn't going out than coming in. And for most of our applicants, there's a reason they come to us. So they're going to have some debt. They're going to have some issues on their credit that they need to deal with. But the blessing is that we have great volunteers who can work with people. It can take some time. But if folks really want to do this, we will work with them 6 months, 2 years, however long it takes for them to get their finances in order so then they can buy a home. And I would say for most of our buyers, the day they purchase the house, they are in their best financial position that they've ever been.
Well, over the years I've interacted with folk who are fortunate enough to buy one of the homes. And aside from the physical reality, I've always felt that what you have allowed to have happen was for a real sense of amelioration, of a raising of horizon and goals, and there's a sense of pride and ownership and pride that, you know, this is mine. And I think that psychological and emotional component is profound.
Yes.
So
and transferable. And for kids, sometimes in households where there are children, it's not required, but in households where there are children, to see their parents set a goal like that and achieve it, it's so transferable.
Absolutely, absolutely. let's just seriously talk a little bit about what goes on the construction site. Not everybody swings a hammer. No. Thank you very much.
We don't raise walls every time volunteers show up.
There you go. So if you're interested, I mean, there's stuff for people. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Really, truly, I was not hired because I know how to build a house or I'm handy with the table saw. But we do build our homes with mostly volunteer labor. So if you have skills, great. But if you think, gosh, I'd love to learn how to put laminate flooring down or ceramic tile in my own house, or I'm just curious about how a house gets put together, come out. Between all of our communities, we're building 4 to 5 days every week.
Yeah. And the projects are overseen by really qualified people. I mean,
it's a unique construction job because in addition to knowing how to read plans and how to actually build a house, your labor pool every day can be a really interesting group of people who may or may not be skilled. But it works.
I'm chuckling because when, as I said, the few times I've done the clergy build, I look around at my colleagues and there's a reason why they went to seminary and not engineering school.
Yeah. But really on a Habitat job site, if you want to learn, I was telling a story last night to a group that often on days when groups show up and they're not very experienced, the construction supervisor might say, oh, today we're doing flooring. Who's done flooring before? And no one raises their hand. So then the next question is, who wants to learn how to do flooring? And it's really just a willingness to learn and work together in partnership, because that really is what a Habitat job site is about.
Yes, absolutely. And I happen to know that the chef at the Hyatt it has become part of a team. And
so this is interesting how people who've had one life, in a second life, decide they want to try new things. So Tony Breeze is one of our new volunteers, and he's spent his career as a chef, which he describes as building things in a different way, but he just decided to come out on a Habitat job site, and he's really gotten hooked partly on the construction, but also the camaraderie of working alongside the other volunteers, and as importantly, working alongside those future home buyers and helping teach them a skill. Most of our applicants, not everyone who purchases a home with us is a first-time or first-generation home buyer, but most are. So if you've lived in rental housing all your life, if something broke, you called the landlord, and hopefully they came to fix it. You may never have had a toolbox before. No one may have really ever showed you how to properly hammer, how to take out a bent nail, how to measure and cut. Exactly. So the opportunity to teach and learn and build relationships on our job sites that sadly still really don't happen organically in our communities.
A quick question about the relationship between Habitat Shop Tank and Habitat International.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So often the name Habitat gets used very generically, but the truth is Habitat is a global housing ministry. We can be found operating in over 50 countries around the world, and there are 1,400 individual Habitat affiliates here in the U.S. So each Habitat affiliate serves a specific community, like Talbot and Dorchester counties for us. Habitat exists where at some point in time there was usually a concerned group of citizens who started to organize around their faith and the issue of affordable housing, and saw that as a tool to empower people, and then affiliated under the Habitat name. So to be a Habitat affiliate, there are certain common practices we have to agree to every year, but there's so much value in that because across the U.S., you will find an extremely low foreclosure rate for Habitat affiliates.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, less than 3%.
I'm not surprised at that.
Yes, our model really works because of the relationships that we form. So, and the Habitat name means so much to us. It's a great brand.
Do you go, not being a wise guy, do you go to a conference every year with all your counterparts?
Habitat International hosts a conference for us every 2 years with 2,000 of our Habitat friends. And then I've also had the privilege, every time we complete a home here in our local community, we make a contribution to support the construction of a Habitat home in another country.
Oh, nice.
So we've been giving for the last 5 years to El Salvador, to a particular project in the state of Morazan. So I used some of my vacation time a couple years ago to go build in El Salvador.
Very nice.
I carried a lot of concrete block. I don't know that I built anything, but I carried a lot of concrete block.
It counts. In my record, it counts. Don't worry. Talk about a little bit about the Restore.
The Restore,
which I love the name, by the way.
Yeah, the Restore, so the Restore is just an idea that grew up with one local Habitat affiliate, because we've all gotten those calls over the years.
Yeah.
Hi, you're in the housing business, I have an old toilet, can you use it? No, we cannot put an old toilet in one of our new houses, but someone else might have a great use for that sink, set of cabinets, furniture, doors, windows, flooring materials, etc. So there are now over 700 Restores around the country, each with its local Habitat affiliate. And I think the best thing is, there's a couple great things about Restores. One, they just keep good stuff out of the landfill.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have old cabinets or an old refrigerator or old appliances, you don't want to trash it, but you don't know where to take it. So when it comes to being a thrift store, we want the big stuff, the home stuff, the repair stuff, the remodeling stuff. And there's a lot of it out there. So we take those donations, our truck can come pick it up, and then we resell it.
Great.
And the beauty is, those funds that come back to us once the Restore pays its bills, the Restore brings back to us about enough a year to underwrite, all those costs you have to pay to exist that nobody wants to pay for.
Absolutely.
We have to get an audit done,
Yeah.
right? Who wants to pay for an audit?
I know.
No offense to the CPAs,
No.
It's not a fun thing to fundraise for. So by having the Restore cover those costs, then when we go out to our on our fundraising projects, to write a grant, to talk with a school group or church group, their donation can go directly back to our services and our programs.
Terrific. I may be in a position. You want to buy a synagogue building? No. We'll talk. We'll talk
well,
about
we might like your old cabinets and furniture.
We'll talk about that too. Oh, you know what? The pews we won't have pews in the new building, but I actually want one of or two pews in the house. I think they're old, they're beautiful.
Yes.
We'll talk.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
And I do want, before we have to wrap up this visit, I really do want to talk about the stay-at-home gala, because when I got the invitation, I called you immediately. I said, this is so cool. So talk about it. Tell everybody what it is.
Yeah.
But I love the idea.
So, again, not a terribly original idea. We're borrowing it from someone else.
It doesn't matter. I love
it. There's so many good things going on in this community, and we all get a lot of invitations in our inbox. For Habitat, this coming year will be our 25th anniversary, so we have some special things planned. Okay. And in advance of that, we thought we just needed to take a year off. Put aside the fancy clothes, the hors d'oeuvres, the silent auction, the live auction, and just give people an opportunity to still support our mission, but stay at home in their bathrobe, their comfy clothes, or go out to dinner if they want.
I just thought that was it just tickled me. You're paying a ticket not to come.
That's right.
And as you say, we get invited to so many, and they're all wonderful.
Yes.
And I love supporting as many as I can. But what a great idea. What's the date?
So the date is April 28th. Coming soon this spring, and we'll be doing some fun promotion around it with some people in their pajamas to draw a little attention to it, and people can go online and vote for their favorite celeb in pajamas. But really, it's just a way to still keep us in front of the community and remind them what we're here to do with a little tongue in cheek.
Well, do you want to give them a number?
Sure, really the place to find information about all of this, from the Restore to the bathroom ball to about opportunities to volunteer with us, is to visit our website at habitatchoptank.org. And folks are welcome to call us directly at our office in downtown Trapp, at 410-476-3204.
And we will put that on the screen. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to see you, and you will be back for sure.
Great.
And especially after the stay-at-home gala, we'll find out.
We'll bring some pictures.
We've been talking with Nancy Andrew, who is the executive director of Habitat for Humanity, Chop Tank. Always a pleasure to see you. Glad you came.
Thank you. You too.
We will be back momentarily. Easton.
It's different than any place I've ever been. It's easy to just be in the room with everybody else and enjoying the show together.
I'm very impressed. Just the variety, the quality, the intimacy.
And we are back, and you are seated at the Rabbi's square table. It's okay. It's a new table. It's very nice. I like it. And I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel. in Easton, and we are coming to you from the studios of MC TV. And my guest now is Bill Dial. Bill, welcome to the Rabbi's
Thank
Roundtable.
you. Glad to be here.
And just so people know, you are on the board of the John Wesley Preservation Society.
I am indeed.
And I know what that is, but share with our viewers, this is a very cool project. It's an important project as well.
It will be my pleasure. The John Wesley Preservation Society is the organization that is restoring the John Wesley African American Methodist Church on Oxford Road, next to Evergreen Road.
Yes.
Up until 2003, it was basically a ruin. It was starting to collapse. And in 2003, Mrs. Kathy Radcliffe from Oxford decided that the project would be worthwhile, and she started the movement. The church was renovated, was actually lifted, and a new foundation put beneath it, and the little cook shop that's adjacent to it, which is now our museum, by the way.
Yes.
Was renovated as well. They had a survey done of the cemetery and found some surprises there. We are now the only African American museum in Talbot County, and we belong to the Association of African American Museums.
Oh, how interesting.
And of course the small museums of Talbot County, of which there are about 6 or 7. So we are on our way, and it's a wonderful experience. There is so much history there.
Yes.
And you walk around that cemetery and you see names that are familiar to you. And we have members of our board. We have 15 board members. We have members of our board whose entire families, their entire family history is in that cemetery.
It's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing.
And this was the brainchild of who again?
Kathy Radcliffe.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. Tell me, I know that you have a diversity celebration coming up.
Yes, we do.
Tell me about that, and then I want to talk about more substantive, not substantive, but some other things as well.
Well, I can tell you that the John Wesley Church is a symbol of diversity. In 1838, when the original building was built, the congregation included both white and black congregants that worshiped together. It was a Methodist church.
Right.
So diversity is important to the project, but diversity is important to us now. So we're going to have a celebration of diversity. It's going to be the Oxford Community Center on April 1st.
Cool.
And the band Comfort Zone, a Motown band, is going to do Motown music. I can't think of anything more diverse than Motown.
Well, you know, they had a big concert in Washington that celebrated Smokey Robinson and Barry Gordy, and that's, yes.
Well, right here in your own backyard on April 1st.
And if people want to get tickets,
go to our website. You can get a ticket and pay by PayPal, or you can contact one of the board members. We all have tickets. John Wesley Church .org. John Wesley Church is one word. .org has a form that you fill out, and you can access PayPal. You don't have to have a PayPal account to do this, and it's $25 for a ticket. And on the night, we will have music and refreshments, and
cool.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I am so sorry that I won't be in town. I'm breaking my heart because.
Maybe we'll tape it for you.
Please do. Let's talk a little bit about the history. First of all, it's a Methodist church.
It is a Methodist church.
And I know the Methodist church was very. They were ahead of the curve when it came to integration and.
That's exactly right.
And. I think it's wonderful that this project's going on. It's important. And as you said, there are lots of people who, with whom we interact and who we know, whose families trace their history
absolutely.
To that sanctuary.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about that cemetery. When we had the ground-penetrating radar survey of that cemetery, they found 14 places where the earth was disturbed. It didn't show the presence of remains, but they know that because the earth was disturbed in those areas, that's where people were buried.
Interesting.
And the church, as I said, goes back to 1838. So we are fairly sure that there are slaves that are buried there. Would have been buried, and if in a box at all, it would have been a wooden box.
Yes.
And over time, that would decay.
Yep.
So through Kathy Radcliffe's good offices, she got tombstones, which are a 4-inch square block of granite with the Greek letter chi. X is the unknown. And so we've marked all 14 of those places with this little block of granite that has an X on it, so that we know where those remains are.
Good for you guys. That's wonderful. And tell me, Let's talk a little bit about Moses Smallwood.
Oh, Moses Smallwood. I feel like Moses was my brother. I've been doing a lot of research on Moses. In September of 1863, the slave Moses Smallwood married the slave Hannah in that church.
Amazing.
In December of that year, he left to join the U.S. colored troops.
1863.
In 1864, wow. He died at the Battle of the Crater in July in Petersburg, Virginia, along with a great number of members of the 19th Regiment of the U.S. colored troops. He was in Company D. Company D, by the way, was recruited mostly in Talbot and Dorchester counties.
Oh, interesting.
And because we were not a secessionist state,
right.
There still were leanings, and so they were slave owners were reluctant to give up their slaves to go fight against perhaps their own brothers.
Sure.
So there was recruiting done in the fields by black recruiters. The recruiting company for Company D was right here in Easton. And so Moses more than likely was recruited right out of the field.
Wow.
First time probably he had ever owned clothing. He was issued $84 worth of clothes.
That was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money back then. Yeah. He's buried in a mass grave with no marker at Poplar Grove Cemetery, National Cemetery in Poplar Grove, Virginia.
Okay.
We don't know where Hannah is. She may be one of those 14 buried in our churchyard.
Well, are there church records?
We are fine. No, the church records actually burned up, regrettably.
Okay.
But we're putting together records using the Maryland archives. Funeral homes have to keep records, and so we're trying to go back and find some of the older funeral homes to see if we can find some records from them that might be helpful to us. But then you've run across a name like Moses, and you can go back in U.S. colored troops histories and find out about him. And Ancestry.com is a great resource. You would be amazed at what you can find, and so a lot of what I found out about Moses, I found on Ancestry.com.
Interesting.
So,
and what about the white families that are?
A lot of names you would recognize.
I'm sure.
Oh, a lot of the names. Oxford was prisoners, Scottish prisoners came into Oxford. And so a lot of the more common names that you see in Talbot County are Scottish names that probably can trace their lineage back to coming ashore as prisoners or indentured servants in Oxford or in some of the other ports around here. And a lot of those names you see among the white congregants at the church.
Oh, that's so interesting. I've always said this is an interesting place to live. This just adds to the level and the depth. The museum, when is it open?
It will be opening again, I think, around the 1st of April. Okay. We want to get an early season this year. It's open every Saturday morning, and on the first Saturday of the month, it's open all day, and with volunteer docents, myself included. And we want people to become interested in it. You would not believe how beautiful that little church is on the inside.
I'm sure.
It is just gorgeous.
These are no small projects to do.
No, this one has taken a long time. And now, because we're a museum, we have different things we have to comply with. The Americans with Disabilities Act is weighing on us right now. And so we're going to have to do some modifications.
I understand for a lot of reasons. And is the renovation totally done?
It'll never be totally done.
Right.
It'll never be. We have to put in a bathroom. So we're trying to make things look historic, but it's a little difficult to do that and comply with ADA at the same time. But we're going to make some exceptions and try to get permissions to maintain the history and the look of that little church.
Sure. Well, this is very exciting. Congratulations to you, and congratulations to the board for doing this and for the vision that Kathy had.
Yes.
Good for her. You're working on are you working on a book or an article about on Moses?
I'm working on an article on Moses, and a lot of that will be deduction because I know where his regiment went and when they went there, so you can deduce that he was with them during that time. So I'll sort of fill in the places, okay, but we want Moses as sort of a representative of what happened in that church so many years ago.
This is exciting. I look forward. I'm so sad sad that I won't be at the Motown gig, and that's
our
when
celebration of diversity on April 1st in the Oxford Community Center.
And celebration of diversity, April 1st. This is really a remarkable project. I'm delighted to have you at the Rabbis Roundtable. The John Wesley Preservation Society is doing important historical work.
Thank you.
And not only important historical, but it's also making, I think, a very profound statement for the community.
Thank you.
And an
I think so too.
statement. So, Bill, thank you.
My
for
pleasure.
being at the Rabbis Roundtable.
My pleasure.
You'll come back. We'll
I
talk
will.
after the.
I would love to.
After the
After the
diversity-
celebration of diversity.
After
Yes.
the celebration of diversity. Easton, we will see you next time at the Rabbis Roundtable.